I'm streaming, baby, for the second time. This time should be the right, the right one. You are watching the SFR GT Challenge. This is test event 2 of season 3 on the Autodrome Lago Maggiore in Italy, and these are the GTC2 drivers, second division. We've had massive issues earlier, so we are about 40 minutes behind our typical schedule, usual schedule. Drivers are still qualifying, about 5 to 6 minutes left. Unfortunately, the first lobby crashed before a grid was set and a second one too, so there's a delay, but we'll have action tonight. I think we've lost one driver, unfortunately. We'll be okay overall. We had a series of misfortunes with the network. Second one wasn't a server issue. It was an app deciding to close right when the grid was getting set up. Things happen in the world of Gran Turismo. Since I'm now hosting, you'll get to see the behind the scene. Yep. How? Okay, let me have a look. You'll get to see how we set the grid up, how we put all the settings in the lobby so everything is fine. Obviously, the original grid had Fuzzy in first position, with Exotica in second, and I think it was T64 Turbo in third. And the rest of the grid was a mystery, since unfortunately the crash happened before a grid was recorded. So we'll have something for you in a few minutes. About 4 minutes left in qualifying. Everyone on the racing softs. Remember, drivers have to use, for the first time in GTC2, all the compounds available. So softs, mediums, and hards. They have to use the mediums and the hards for at least 5 laps. Otherwise, they either will get a 10-second penalty per lap not done on the mandatory tires, or get disqualified if they skip one of the compounds. If they only do softs and mediums, or softs and hards. And if they only do softs, well, they'll get disqualified. Not something that happens very often, as these drivers know the rules, and usually everyone is compliant with these mandatory tire rules. So I'll try to have the leaderboard up. I think, yes, there was an issue there. It disappeared for a few seconds. Yes. I have the leaderboard now. I clicked before you asked. So the grid is a bit messed up. Originally I was trying to combine the first top 8 with the second qualifying results. Unfortunately, the first top 8 was not accurate, and also the second qualifying results disappeared during the second lobby crash. So now it's gonna be a fresh grid. So some drivers might lose a few spots, and something I have no control over, unfortunately. Everything will be fixed for round 1. So you're watching the current pole sitter, but you should expect Fuzzy to be able to challenge him for first place. Obviously, drivers are not always on the track at the same time, so they're not always on the track all at once. So you don't necessarily have the exact leaderboard right now. Some drivers might be in the pits. I'll have to make sure I don't miss the mark, so I'll keep this timer up. 2 minutes left in qualifying. And it seems like T64 Turbo is improving on his original lap. He was in second place during the first test event, on the grid for the first test event, but he won the race. Fuzzy had pole position. So he improved on his purple lap. Will Fuzzy be able to do it again? We'll have to keep an eye on them. It's a 30 lap race, so grid issues shouldn't be too much of a factor. So I'll be quiet for a few seconds as I'm trying to figure out the grid. Everyone is, no, not everyone is on the track, but they should get on the track. They should stop exiting so I can do it properly. Oh, not S11, not Sector 11, there's no Sector 11. So I still have, we'll stay with, drivers are parking there. We'll see if someone can improve their lap time. They've had 25 minutes of qualifying, but only the last 10 minutes will count, unfortunately. I think everyone is done. Yes, everyone is done. Okay. That's good. Okay. So T64 Turbo in pole position, Fuzzy in second place, Kurtel in third, Tugo in fourth, Exotica, Speak Loud in sixth, Kotover in seventh, Gabo in eighth, Axel in ninth, Dr. Vegas in 10th, Legacy in 11th, Gale Speed in 12th. Usually starts down the grid, but always gets the most positions gain award. Magic Man and Little Mac. Little Mac. Okay, now we have a grid, so whatever happens, we'll have running top 3 qualifying times. Yes. Okay, now I have to set the lobby, so I'm doing double duties tonight. So fuel, 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 fuel. This. None. No, 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 no. Yes. No, no, no. No, no, no. Let me make sure I have all the right things, as I don't want to have to start this lobby again. Okay. I have the keyboard. I believe pole position for GTC1 was like 153.3 by Marsan from the Puerto Rico E-Racing Club. I'll have to check something and we'll have to start in a few moments. We'll let drivers pick their compounds, as they have to use the 3 compounds and they might want to start on something else than the softs. I cannot run wets, unfortunately, as one driver suggested. Okay, so I have everything set up correctly. I have to wait for everyone to enter. Okay, everyone is in. I believe so. And I have to set the grid. Otherwise, we're gonna have a disaster again. So I will be back in a few seconds. Things happen in virtual motorsport. Same thing. Sometimes you've seen real races having to be aborted or delayed due to weather or technical issues, and it happens in the world of Gran Turismo too. So we're doing our best to make sure this race will go as planned, and it will. So I have Legacy, Gale Speed, and Magic Man. Okay. So grid is set. So we are about to start. Finally, about 50 minutes late. I have to, I have to exit to start the race and then get back in. Okay, good. So as a good host, I'll have to screenshot the grid in case something goes wrong and I lose my sheet. Which won't happen, but you never know. Tonight is a strange night. It's good, we're all set. T64 Turbo in pole position, Fuzzy in second place, Gurtel in third, DNA2 in fourth. We'll have the start in a few seconds. Red lights. And we have some wipers going on. There are no wet tires. There's no rain predicted for the race. And there we go. We'll see. Everyone seems to be off the grid. Yes. So we have a race. We have 14 drivers with T64 Turbo in first place, followed by DNA2. So the two Audis got off the grid very well. The Supra struggled a little, down in third place. We have a AMG, that's Speak Loud in... We'll have the leaderboard again. It keeps disappearing. It's back. Fourth place, followed by... Oh, actually just got overtaken by Exotica. So far, everything is clean off the grid. Exotica still using his wipers. There's no rain coming. Maybe praying for rain with this GTR. I know leaderboard is back. Sometimes it disappears out of, I don't know, randomly, and it's back. So we have Fuzzy, who was in second place, challenging for second place. He's down in third, trying to get back in front of DNA Tuco, and I think we had an issue. T64 Turbo had a bad exit. Will the DNA driver be able to take first place? Yes, so Tuco in first place. Will he? Yes, he's staying on the track. And Fuzzy looking to gain another spot alongside the RWB driver. So we have a Brazilian in first place, and T64 Turbo goes off, loses 3 spots in one corner. Now BDRT is in second and third place, and TPRT Gürtel is trying to overtake Exotica, goes on the inside, little tap, but T64 Turbo's trying to get inside. Number 64 trying to get in fourth place, stuck on the outside of the Supra. Now inside. And there's a spin. I'll save this replay. We'll have to get a look at this. Let's get on board with him. So he was on the outside, then inside at the next corner. And he just clipped the rear, sent Gurtel in a spin. A two-car crash. And they got back underway, but they lost a lot of positions. And with all the action we've had so far, we still have our DNA driver who was in 4th place on the grid, who's now in 1st place, our Brazilian driver, followed by our Canadian driver from Quebec, so we'll say our Quebec driver from now on. In 2nd place with his teammate right behind him, BDRT Exotica. Seems to be a few battles behind. The PREC teammates pushing each other. I think that was Legacy bumping Kotobori off the track, and the McLaren driver struggling to get back on the racing line. Probably has dirty tires. Remember, some drivers must have started on the hards and on the mediums. Not everyone is on the softs. We'll go through the grid and we'll have a look at the tire situation. So we'll lose the leaderboard for a few seconds. So we have DNA Tuco, our leader, on the softs. We have Fuzzy. That might explain why he had a bad start. He's on the mediums. So is Exotica. So we can already check a few boxes for the mandatory compounds. Same thing with Axel in the Beetle, who's on the mediums. We also have that's SpeedCloud, RR SpeedCloud in the AMG on the mediums. That's a Legacy in the Mazda Atenza for PREC on the medium. So a lot of drivers choosing to start on the medium. Same thing for Gale Speed. We also have that's Gurtel. Well, I'll have to cheat a little. Seems they have the wrong numbers on their cars. And it seems like I've lost all control of my keyboard. So, little technical issue. So, Gabo is on the hards and struggling. I'll have to fix my keyboard. There we go. We have Magic Man on the mediums. And Kotobori and T64 Turbo on the mediums too. So a lot of drivers choosing to start on the mediums. Little Mac on the hards and Dr. Vegas on the mediums. So drivers will have to do another an extra 2 laps on their mandatory compounds if they want to get rid of that stint. So basically everyone but the leader and well, we've lost gnarly before the race. So everyone but the leader is on the softs, is on the mediums or the hards. So only the leader is on the softs. That might explain why he had a brilliant start from 4th to claim the lead. And Fuzzy only losing 1.6 to the Brazilian driver while being on the mediums. That's great. We'll have a look at the replay. Well, I have the wrong one. You'll have to give me a second. There we go. The replay of that's Legacy pushing Kotobori off. The Puerto Rican driver recovering but having to deal with dirty tires. Little issue, too many drivers at the same place on the track. Okay, good. We have a battle for second place, but the two teammates seem to be working together. And there's a gaggle of cars behind for that's 8th place as T64 Turbo is trying to recover from the crash on lap 2 or 3. Excuse me if I'm a little confused with the lap count. It's been an eventful night. As we have Kotobori trying to overtake, that's a Magic Man. Magic Man on the outside, the McLaren driver on the inside. There's still T64 Turbo trying to overtake Legacy. We'll ride on board with him. Well, we unfortunately lost onboard cameras, so we'll have to use the hood. Well, so we have a BDRT team leader in the chat talking about their new sponsor icon on the BDRT cars. There you can see it on Fuzzy's and Exotica's liveries. So DNA driver, DNA Tuco, the Brazilian driver, losing some ground to the two BDRT drivers on the mediums. It's safe to guess that Fuzzy and Exotica will probably pit this lap to get rid of the mediums. We'll see if they do. Yes, they do. They were on the mediums. So virtually everyone but the leader will pit this lap to get rid of the mandatory compound. So they're now on the softs. Everyone... Well, the BDRT drivers on the softs. We have Axel on the hards. Speak Loud went for the softs. Gurtel for the hards. So it will be good to go with the mandatory compounds after the stint. Our pole sitter T64 Turbo still recovering. He is on the hards. Same thing with Legacy, but his teammate Kotobori is on the softs. And we'll be looking to challenge him for position. We have Gabo in on the mediums again. Nope, he was on the hard, so he'll be good to go after the stint. We have Kill Speed on the hards. Dr. Vegas on the hards. And Little Mac on still on the mediums now, so he went in the pits. We'll bring you back the leaderboard before the chat gets a little too active. So the two BDRT drivers on the same strategy, mediums and then softs, following each other. Exotica likely benefiting from the draft, might be able to save some fuel behind his teammate. And we have the leader in the pits. So we'll see if he chooses to use one of the mandatory compounds, the mediums or the hards, or stays on the softs. He went on the softs, so he stays on the optimal tire, the prime tire. So we now have Fuzzy RSQC, our Quebec driver, in first place, who was the original pole sitter for this race. Exotica purpling sector 1 on the softs, first flying lap on the softs. So is Fuzzy. We'll see if our earlier leader will be able to catch the BDRT drivers, as there's a battle for 9th between Magic Man, TPRT Gabo, and Legacy. Legacy pushed a little wide by Magic Man. We'll try to catch the replay. So he was overtaking at the banked hairpin. There was slight contact and it allowed the TPRT driver to gain a spot on the PREC driver. We still have our VDRT teammates in first and second, since our leader went in the pits. So they clearly had a much better pace than DNA Tuco, since they exited in front of him. And 154.5 for Exotica. That's the fastest lap so far. We'll have to see who can challenge him for the fastest lap of the race. Exotica not in a position to overtake his teammate. Most likely wants to save some fuel behind him. The Supra being quite good with fuel mileage. And has, well, these two cars, the Supra and the GTR, have a lot of power. They have a lot of straight line speed, so it will be hard for the GTR to have a run on the Supra. And the fact they're teammates will probably help temper his ambitions to claim first place. We'll see if that's true. We'll ride on board with him. Unfortunately, I'm unable to get onboard cameras, but we'll have the hood view, bumper cam. There it is. We'll switch back to the hood. So Exotica following his teammate through the twisty section of the Autodrome Lago Maggiore in Italy. One of the trickiest tracks in GT Sport, one of the original circuits. So this track is only available in the world of Gran Turismo. You cannot race on it in real life, but this is even better than real life. So their team leader, BDRT and Ataku, saying they have practiced a lot together this week. So a lot of teamwork at BDRT. Tuco losing time, so he's losing a lot of ground to the BDRT drivers. As there's a battle for 7th place between T64 Turbo, and I think Kotobori is on the softs, so he is on the faster tire, as T64 Turbo should be on the hards. So softs versus hards. We'll see if the Puerto Rican driver can overtake him. It seems like he'll be able to get on the inside. There's no contact. The McLaren, whoop, the Audi cuts right in front of him. No contact, but he'll have to wait to overtake him. We'll see if he's able to do it at the hairpin. So high zero. Jack getting a little more active. So Kotobori is unable to overtake T64 Turbo, but he will get alongside him. He'll have the outside and then the inside at the next corner. We'll see if he's able to do it. He'll have to muscle his way through. Yes. So Kotobori now in 7th place, gained the spot over the pole sitter. There's an auto battle going on for 9th place. I'm still keeping an eye on the leaderboard to make sure nothing changes at the front. Seems like the two BDRT drivers are running a race and no aggression pact. And Magic Man struggling to hold Gabo behind him. And we're getting close to, well, we're now on lap 10, so drivers on the mediums and the hards will likely get in the pits to change their tires. And for the few drivers, so I have Cortel, Legacy, Gabo, Axel, T64 Turbo, Little Mac, Dr. Vegas, and Gelspeed will be able to run the softs for the remainder of the race, as the battle for 9th place sees the TPRT driver ahead of Magic Man. But Magic Man has the inside, hasn't said his final word. The Rockefeller Racing driver with the green machine now down in 10th place, so the TPRT driver now up in 9th in the Supra. Still no change at the front. Our top 2 still remains the same. Fuzzy RSQC for BDRT in 1st place in the Supra, and Exotica for BDRT in 2nd place in the Nissan Nismo GTR GT3 race car. Our former leader now 5.4 seconds adrift over the leader, 5 seconds behind Exotica. Well, they're on the softs, so they don't have to pit this lap, but they will. So 5 lap stints. We'll see if they pick the hards. I believe yes, they've used the mediums. They only have to use the hards, and they're both on the hards. So there you have it. Mediums, and DNA Tuco was right there when they exited, but they're now on the slowest of the 3 compounds, and Tuco is on the softs. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. It's likely, yes, the R8 is now in 2nd place. Will he be able to get ahead of Fuzzy? Well, Exotica, so much speed behind the R8, not allowing him to create a gap over him, struggling on exit, sliding on the curbs. Tires really mixing things up tonight. But Tuco is on worn soft, and he's struggling, getting in the grass, sliding his way through the S's, getting on the back straight, but the Nissan will likely be able to... Well, will he try to overtake him on the hards? It seems like Exotica is having a look, but he doesn't have the grip to do it. He has the straight line speed, but doesn't have the grip. And Tuco's really struggling. Still on the softs and struggling to hold someone on fresh hards behind him. So the softs aren't really giving him that big of an advantage so late in their in his stint. He will likely pit this lap or next lap. Seems like, well, he's going very wide, recovers, gets back on the track. It doesn't seem like he'll be able to challenge Fuzzy for the lead on this stint. Yes, he's on worn softs, as Exotica is on fresh hards. Hard tires are much slower, but at this stage in his stint, Tuco is really struggling for grip. We'll have a look at the field again. So we'll have Speak Loud on the hards. So a lot of drivers choosing to use the hards for their third stint. And there you have a few drivers who have used both mandatory compounds. Kotobori, who was on the softs, is now on the hards. So we'll be losing ground to drivers he was able to challenge earlier. Everyone else on the softs. So the field is mostly on soft tires, other than the two BDRT drivers. and Kotobori. And only DNA Tuko hasn't used any of the mandatory compounds, so he still has to use the mediums and the hards. And over half of the field tonight in GTC2 has used both mandatory compounds. So they can run soft tires all the way to the end. We still have over 18 laps left in this race. So tonight we only have one reserve driver, that's Dr. Vegas number 145. We are missing, as the leader gets in the grass but recovers. I thought he was gonna hit the wall, but he saved it. We are missing DNA Stag, who we will likely see at round 1 in on Brands Hatch in 2 weeks. And RR and Gnarly unfortunately had to leave during the whole race start delay. So 13 of the 14 drivers currently on the track are regulars in GTC2. We'll get on board with DNA to go. We'll see if I can get it in the cockpit view. Yes. So there you have it, inside the Audi number 27, our only Brazilian driver tonight. You can have a look inside of his Audi R8 LF. That's in the GT3 race car for Audi, one of the manufacturers in the Volkswagen group. You can hear his tires squeal. He's on worn softs. Fuzzy is on relatively fresh hards, only on his third, I think that's his third lap on the hardest of the 3 compounds we have tonight. And Exotica not far behind him. So the GTR in 3rd place, so we'll see. Yes, DNA Tuko entering the pits. We'll stay with him. We'll see if he chooses to use the mediums or the hards for this third stint in this 30-lap race. From what I can see, he's still on the softs. So he will likely run his 2 mandatory tire stints at the end of the race, or in the second half of the race. Okay. The leaderboard is back. So this gives Fuzzy some breathing room. In 1st place, BDRT Exotica in 2nd place. Tuko still on the soft, so he'll be able to catch Exotica, but we'll see if he's able to do it before Exotica pits for softs, as he only has to run 2 extra laps. On the hearts. So we have a battle for 5th place. The TPRT driver from Puerto Rico, Gurtel, trying to catch Speedcloud, who is on the hards, so struggling for grip, as Gurtel is on the softs. We'll see if he's able to do it. The Supra is faster than the AMG on the straights. Struggles a little with understeer, but the AMG also understeers. And with the hards, it will be hard to keep Gurtel behind him. So Gurtel easily takes 5th place away from Speedcloud. And our former leader, T64 Turbo, who unfortunately had a crash at the start of the race, is up in 7th. And he has used both mandatory compounds and can use the softs all the way, so we'll see him move up on the leaderboard for sure. And he's already right behind SpeakLoud, who's on the hards. So you'll see him. Should be a very easy overtake. And he has the inside. The RR driver not holding him, giving him all the room he needs. And he's now up in 6th place. So he's recovered about 5 or actually 8 spots since the first lap. Since the incident at the start of the race, I think it was on lap 2. And there you have the answer. So the BRT drivers are on their final lap on the hards. They could run a 6th lap, but it wouldn't be a good strategy. And Tuco is already right behind Exotica. So we'll see if he'll try to overtake the American driver, or if he'll stay behind him, knowing that he'll be entering the pits. But he's gonna have to make sure he's not losing any time behind the Nissan. You can see the Nissan struggling, so we'll have both drivers entering the pits. So Fuzzy and Exotica will get rid of the hearts, and they will be able to use the softs for the remainder of the race. 15 laps of pleasure on the softest, the grippiest compound we have in SFR GT Challenge. They're not the only ones to pit. We also have, well, yes, Tuco in the lead, Exotica right behind Fuzzy, Gurtel still on the track. T64 Turbo went in the pits. He's on the softs. Basically everyone will be on the softs now, as they're all getting rid of the mandatory compounds. We only have our Brazilian driver, DNA Tuco, who's currently in the lead, who still has to use both mandatory compounds, otherwise everyone is clear to the end. BDRT still working together, Fuzzy ahead of Exotica. This hasn't changed since the start of the race. And Gurtel now sees himself in 4th place ahead of T64 Turbo, who's still looking to recover from the collision he had with Gabo, I believe. It was one of the TPRT Supras at the end of Sector 1. Yes, Gabo is right behind him, well, trading him by 2 seconds. Axel in the Beetle, the first of the PREC drivers. Number 37, who was using, I believe he was using the Audi last season as a reserve driver and then a full-time driver. And he was using the Porsche in the first test event. SpeakLoud, who was in the Beetle in the first race of the preseason, and he's now in the AMG. Drivers still have until tomorrow 10 p.m. to pick their car for the first few races of the season. They'll have the chance to change their car starting after round 4, so at least the first 4 races will be run with the car they'll have to pick before 10 p.m. tomorrow. Most of them have already picked their car. Some are still waiting for the results of this test event before making their final decision. I will not reveal who picked and who hasn't picked. They could still change their answer on the form before 10 p.m. tomorrow, so I'll stay quiet. Legacy is in the Atenza right now, behind the FT1, Toyota FT1 VGT Group 3 race car. Everyone is on the softs. No one is on the mediums or the hards right now. Most drivers have gotten rid of their of the mandatory stints. This Magic Man is down in 12th. Little Mac, who was in last place, I believe, early on in the race, is now up in 13th in Gale Speed. is 18 seconds behind him, so he's our last runner on the track. Struggling a little, got in the grass, recovered. Usually Gale Speed moves up the grid quite fast during the race, and he often gets the both positions gained award. We'll see if he's able to do it. The race is not over, still about 14 laps left in this race, a little less than 14 laps. We'll get back to our leader, DNA Tuco, who's in the lead, 3.3 seconds, going wide. Still has to use the mediums and the hards, so you could say that Fuzzy RS is like the I'm trying to find the exact word, but if you calculate the time Tuco will lose on the mediums and the hards, he would be the effective leader, and Exotica would be in second place. So it would be a BDRT 1-2, but we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Tuco still has to use both compounds, so 10 laps on slower tires. He will likely pit on lap. He'll pit not this lap, the next lap to get. No, actually on lap 20 to get either mediums or hards, as he'll want to make sure he doesn't run 6 laps or 4 laps on the compounds to not lose time on the slower tires or not incur a 10-second penalty per lap. So really, our leader, DNA Tuco, is having his own strategy, his own idea of how he wants to use the mandatory compounds. Everyone else is clear. So he can enjoy 2 more laps on the softs, and then he'll have to use the mediums and the hards. So T64 Turbo now ahead of Gurtel. Gurtel, who just pitted on the previous lap to get more fresh tires. Softs again. And we have I think the only immediate battle we have right now on the track is for 12th place between Magic Man and Little Mac. Little Mac gained the position on Magic Man, who's on the hards. So he wasn't done with his racing hard stint. I thought everyone was on the softs, but actually Magic Man is a little out of sequence with the other drivers, but he'll be able to use the softs for the remainder of the race once he gets in the pits. Could be the same thing with Gale Speed. I'll have to have a look. No, he's on the softs, so only Magic Man is on the hards, and Fuzzy really catching DNA Tuco. Will he be able to overtake him before the Brazilian driver gets in the pits for mediums or hards? So we'll get on board with him. I'll try to get cockpit view if the game will allow me to do it. Now you're on board with Fuzzy RSQC from BDRT, Black Dragon Racing Team, racing for diversity and inclusion. This is the Toyota GR Gazoo Racing Supra Racing concept. We'll get on board with Exotica, who's, I thought he would try to overtake him, stays behind, and we'll have a 3-way battle for the lead. I don't think Tuco will get in the pits this lap. He'll have to do another lap, otherwise he's going to lose time on the slower tires. So he'll be struggling to keep Fuzzy and Exotica behind him, and Fuzzy gets on the inside. It seems like he's going to be able to do it. Nope. I thought he had a run on him. The Audi managed to hold him behind. So it's a 3-way battle for the lead. Will Exotica try to overtake Fuzzy? Or will he stay behind his teammate like he's done for the whole race? Exotica wants to move up, but he has to remember his teammate is right ahead of him. Fuzzy inside Tuco forces him a little wide, but he has the inside at the next corner. That's an amazing battle right there. 3 drivers on the same piece of tarmac. Fuzzy trying to overtake the R8. The R8 struggling a little on the curbs. Wheel spin, exiting the corner. The downhill section, getting to the banked hairpin. Little off camber. The R8 on the outside, but he'll have the inside. But I think Fuzzy has enough of a run to claim first place. Yes, he does. For the first time, Exotica is now right behind his teammate. In a long time. They're split by the DNA driver, who's on his final lap on the softs. He'll then have to use the mediums or the hards for 5 laps. So Exotica wants to get back behind Fuzzy. Has a run, will get on the inside. Seems like he's going to be able to do it, but lifts a little, has the inside. Tuco has to yield. Now you have VDRT in 1-2. Exotica flashing his lights. Probably celebrating an amazing overtake or signaling to Fuzzy that he's coming to claim first place. Exotica still looking for his first victory in the SFR GT Challenge. Had a podium last season in test event number 1, I believe, on the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. So they're entering the pits. They'll have to use another set of softs. It's unlike, well, DNA Tuco also entering the pits. We'll get with the Brazilian driver, since we want to know if he's going to use the mediums or the hards. He's on the hards. And Fuzzy still ahead of Exotica. And both drivers will likely need to get some fuel. But Fuzzy has a lot more fuel than Exotica. He's been saving a lot more, but DNA Tuco doesn't have to take more fuel. He's good to go. Half a tank should be enough for the remainder of the race. 10 laps left. And he's on the hards. So he'll be challenged by Gurtel. So we'll get on board. We'll get with Gurtel. You can see that fancy DNA livery designed by our friend and GTC1 driver, DNA JMag2448, who's, I believe, currently the best driver for Peugeot in the FIA GT Gran Turismo Championship, the manufacturer series. And Gurtel looking to have a go at third place. He's on the outside. And Tuco defends his position but has to yield. He went wide on the exit. So now you have Fuzzy still holding the lead, Exotica in second place for BDRT, so BDRT 1-2, TPRT in third place, DNA who led most of the race is now down in fourth, and he has to use the mediums after his stint on the hard tires. So you can expect him to lose more positions. T64 Turbo will likely be able to overtake him before he moves, he switches to the mediums. So our RWB driver, red, white and blue racing team, who had pole position, unfortunately had a collision with the TPRT driver, who's currently in 7th, right behind Axel. Axel, who's the fastest of the PREC drivers in his Beetle, the Volkswagen Beetle Group 3 race car. We can get on board with him if I can. Doesn't seem like I can. Let's try something. There you go. You can see the unusual cockpit of this fictional race car based on the Beetle by Volkswagen, their legendary car designed by Dr. Porsche, with this very minimalist design. Wow, so T64 Turbo is already right behind the DNA driver. And has a run on him. He'll have the inside at the next corner. So our pole sitter challenging for 4th place. Should be an easy overtake. Yes, it is. Well, might not be the final word Tuco has said in this battle. So he's on the hard, so it'll be hard to keep him behind him. And now T64 Turbo is clear. He's in 4th place. So he is, as well, DNA Tuco almost sent it in the wall. Saved. He saved it at the last second. So DNA Tuco gained back about, I think he dropped down to 12th place early on in the race. And he's now up to 4th place. The battle for the win will likely be between these two drivers, the two BDRT Black Dragon Racing Team drivers. As we have some viewers in the chat cheering them on, so Fuzzy and Exotica. BDRT very active in the chat during these live streams. BDRT Black Dragon Racing Team, founded by former STR drivers who were former TNTR drivers. You could say it's one of the original teams in SFR. Despite the name change and the change in management. Our friend Nick, who's changed PSN so many times, like myself, who's now Nataku, he was Goof, and he was Militia Ninja, and many other names, probably some that we don't even know. So BDRT12, he's probably very proud to see his drivers in 1st and 2nd. And we have Def Scythe in the chat, who's a GTC3 driver. GTC3 race is likely over. We had a huge delay to start this event. So the 3rd division has completed their race. More BDRT teammates in the chat, as T64 Turbo has managed to catch Gurtel, and he's running purple sector 1. He has the fastest lap. He just ran the fastest lap on the previous lap. Actually on the lap before, 154.212. He's looking to claim another award. He had the fastest lap award last race, the test event number 1 at Autopolis, and he has a run on Gurtel. He has the outside. Will he be able to do it? Gurtel will look to defend his position, try to park the car at the apex and cut across. Well, that was close. I thought they would touch. And now the R8 loves these twisty sections of the Autodrome Lago Maggiore. And their team captain for BDRT, very happy to see them in 1st and 2nd place. It will be interesting to see how the BDRT drivers will behave on the last stint. T64 Turbo has, well, Gurtel is gonna pit. Well, they're both gonna pit. And Gurtel had less fuel, so there's a chance T64 Turbo will jump him in the pits, as DNA Tuco gets in 3rd place. Axel's not pitting this lap. So T64 Turbo indeed managed to jump Gurtel in the pits. It is safe to assume that Fuzzy and Exotica will pit next lap, well, this lap, and will run a 5-lap stint on the softs. And they will need to refuel. They're running out of fuel right now. Well, not running out of fuel, but they're getting close. Exotica closer to the edge than Fuzzy. This could mean that Fuzzy will have a bigger gap than 0.7 seconds out of the pits. Well, Tuco and Axel fighting. The Beetle not giving him an inch. We should see the Brazilian driver entering the pits this lap. We'll have a look at his tires. Well, they're not that worn, but both drivers will likely pit for fresh tires. Well, actually, that's his last lap on the hards. He will need to use the mediums for the last 5 laps, so we'll be dropping and dropping and dropping down the order, likely to lose the positions to the 3 cars behind him. We'll see if our 2 leaders are gonna enter the pits this lap. Yes, they are. Yes, this is what they've just done. They're entering the pits. Exotica with less fuel than Fuzzy. Likely a longer pit stop, as there's a battle. I think that was Axel taking avoiding action. And Tuco will enter the pits for mediums. And this gives 3rd place to T64 Turbo. And Gürtel in 4th. They're good to go. They don't have to pit anymore. Only Fuzzy and Exotica will have to pit. Well, actually, they just pitted. That's my mistake. So you can tell by the fastest lap that T64 Turbo ran, and the fact that he's only 13.8 seconds behind the leader, he would have been able to challenge for the win in this race if it wasn't for the incident he had with a TPRT driver, one of the Supras at the start. And now Fuzzy 2.5 seconds ahead of Exotica, who now has to chase him. He's not right behind him for the first time in this race. He was never more than 1.5 seconds behind him throughout the race. And now he has to work hard to get back on his bumper and challenge him for the win. So there's a good chance Fuzzy was sandbagging behind the Audi earlier and saved more fuel than Exotica. But also the Supra is known to be very good on fuel, very efficient. T64 Turbo will have to hold Gürtel behind him if he wants to keep his podium. It will be his 2nd podium in 2 races. 2 races in SFR. Tuco still has to hold on to his 5th place. He's on the mediums. He's the only one not on the softs currently. Axel will be looking to overtake him, as there's another battle behind them. Gabo and Speakloud for 7th place. We'll stay with Axel. Will be interesting to see how much faster he is in the first sector, and if he can get a run down to turn 5 before the fast S's. So you're with Axel in the Volkswagen Beetle Group 3 race car. So we have also Big Red in the chat, BDRT driver GTC3. Probably excited to see both his teammates in sorry. Did I miss something? We'll have to have a look at the replay. Whoa! We'll get it. Okay, good. As I was switching to DNA Tuco in the R8, he was sliding down through the S's, and Axel has a run. It could be for a top 5 in this race, which would be his best result in SFR in the SFR GT Challenge. And he's now up in 5th place. I'm sure Autista in the chat is getting excited to see his teammate in 5th place. have a look at what happened there. Well, we're getting in a little too late to see what happened, so we'll have to use another replay. Okay. So the R8 entered the S's, clipped the curb, drifted in front of Axel, who did a wonderful job not to send him in the wall, and it paid off since he managed to claim 5th position on the same lap. And I also want to see if I'm able to see on the replay. No, actually, I thought there was a change for 3rd place. Yes, there was a change for 3rd place, but unfortunately we don't have the replay of what happened if T64 Turbo had an incident. And Fuzzy really building a gap over Exotica. He's looking to claim his first victory in the SFR GT Challenge. This is a non-championship race. This is a test event. So that won't be in the official stats at the end of the season. But everyone wants to see P1 next to their name. And I'm sure we'll see him win a few races during the official season. T64 Turbo still has the fastest lap. We'll see if anyone can challenge him. But this late in the race, unless someone decides to pit this lap and run a crazy lap on the last lap, it's unlikely that he's going to lose his... oh, what happened there? Exotica. There was a little lag spike. Got a little scared. We had so many issues tonight. I was hoping nothing bad would happen. Indeed, Autista watching the race and celebrating P5 for Axel. It's not over, but it's now 1.8 seconds ahead of Tuco, who's on the mediums. So all he has to do is bring the car home and he'll get his top 5. Fuzzy's struggling there. Only 2 laps left, less than 2 laps left in this race. Oh yes, so both drivers for BDRT name Mathieu and Matt. I'm not even sure if Exotica is Mathieu also. He has a French last name, so who knows? So Fuzzy and Exotica 1-2. Gurtel solidly in 3rd place. T64 Turbo clearly had an issue. Unfortunately, the cameras were not able to record what happened. We don't have a replay. Prek Axel is in 5th, but there's still a battle going on between Speakloud and Gabo. They haven't stopped fighting for 7th place for the last 5 laps, and they're catching DNA Tuco, who's on the mediums. So that's the only battle we have currently on the track. We'll stay with them. We have a DNF on the penultimate lap. Drivers disconnecting after 70% of the race in a championship round would get points. He would get points for 14th, so he would get 2 points, but this is a non-championship race, so there are no points given at the end of this one. So that's not an issue. It's unfortunate since he ran 28 laps, almost 29 laps. And there you have it. This is the final lap for Fuzzy, who would claim the first win for, I believe that would be the first win for BDRT. Yes. That would be the first win for the Black Dragon Racing team. J-Rod got very close to claiming one last 2 weeks ago on Autopolis and GTC3, but this would be the first 1-2 also. So first win, first 1-2 at the same time. I'm sure the BDRT drivers in the chat are getting wild, celebrating. They're gonna have a party in the party chat later tonight. So Gabo still in 7th ahead of SpeedCloud, unable to catch DNA Tuco, who's on the mediums. Seems like it's gonna stay like this. We're in the final sector, just as there's an intense battle for we lost almost for 12th. I was gonna say for 13th. I think T64 Turbo managed to catch Gürtel, but will stay with the leader and the winner of Test Event 2 in GTC2, Fuzzy RSQC for BDRT. So first win for BDRT in the history of the SFR GT Challenge. Second place for his teammate Exotica, as Gürtel is trying to hold T64 Turbo behind him. They're going to go side by side. The Audi driver going wide, almost threw it in the wall. We'll have to have a look at it. Gürtel in third, first podium for TPRT since last season when Gabo had one. Axel in 5th, DNA Tuco in 7th, 6th, Gabo in 7th, SpeedCloud in 8th, Legacy coming home to claim 9th place, a top 10 in the Mazda Atenza Group 3 race car. I think there's lag, hard to tell. The cars seem to be jumping a little over the track. Kotobori is teammate for top 10. Little Mac in 11th, as the two RR drivers are fighting for 12th. I think Gelspeed got ahead of Magic Man. So Little Mac for RWB in 11th. Gelspeed will stay ahead of Magic Man for 12th, and his teammate for RR Rockefeller Racing in 13th. There you have it. Victory for Fuzzy RC. It took forever to get this race underway. Thankfully, everything went according to plan. Only one driver had issues during the race, and so Fuzzy RSQC wins this event. VDRT 1-2, Exotica in 2nd place in the GTR. Another Supra in 3rd, TPRT Gürtel in 3rd on his first podium in the SFR GT Challenge. T64 Turbo, the winner from Test Event 1 in 4th, recovering from a major incident early on in the race. Axel top 5 for the PREC driver in the Beetle Group 3. DNA Tugo, who led many laps this race in the R8, our Brazilian driver in 6th. TPRT Gabo in 7th in the other Supra. SpeedCloud in 8th in the AMG. Legacy for PREC Puerto Rico E-Racing Club in 9th in the Atenza. Kotobori in 10th in the McLaren 650S GT3. Little Mac, who started in last position, claimed 11th ahead of the two Rockefeller Racing drivers, Gelspeed and Magic Man in the AMG and the Corvette. Fastest lap goes to T64 Turbo. That was a very intense race. Drivers had to wait a long time before this got underway, but we had plenty of action for you guys. I'm looking at the grid, and I will try to see if I can tell who got the most positions gained award. I believe this will be Axel. We'll have to double check after the race, but it seems like Axel has gained the most positions, as he started in 9th and gained 4 spots. So there you have it. We won't have driver interviews. We ran so late tonight. Driver interviews will be back for round 1 GTC1 next week. It will be on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. So we'll see the first points, the first point race this season, season 3. You'll see drivers in their car with their official liveries. This will be interesting. They still have exactly 24 hours to make their final decision. and then they'll have to wait until after round 4 to pick a different car if they're not satisfied with the car they picked for the first 4 rounds. So, it was a rough night, but we had plenty of action for you guys, and I want to thank everyone who stayed with us throughout this whole night. And I want to thank the 14 drivers we had in this race for their patience while we were trying to figure out what we would do with this race. Hopefully next week we'll have a smoother run through this whole process. And until next week, bye bye.